Right.
I'll go first. I'll go first.
He's autonomous.
But our question is kind of like what he said, you know, about praxis. So I feel like he'll have a lot to say on that. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Ryan?
Yeah, that sounds
Okay.
good.
So 3 minutes.
Yeah, I think all of us would agree that direct action kind of gets the goods. We talked about, some people talked about general strikes, and I think non-participation is really key. And to me, that those two things that are biggest highlighted in non-participation would be related to debt, student loan debt and mortgages, foreclosures, what people are paying to live, essentially. I think non-participation in the $1 trillion in student loan debt would be a really good thing, because what you're doing by not paying these banks and not paying the ruling elites is you're not participating with your money, and you're taking away their power by your non-participation. It's like you're putting down their ball and refusing to even play anymore. And I think anarchism really highlights that fact. You know, anarchists are very, they don't want to participate in any of the status quos. And I think, you know, politics and the whole political structure aside, what we can do as individuals would be to test the system and to resist by just stop paying it. But I think that's...
Short and sweet.
Okay.
So the question we're asking each panelist is, how do we get to this anti-capitalist state, or after capitalism? How do we get to this new world that we are all trying to create? What can we do now, today, as individuals to get there? And the next panelist is going to be Kimberly. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, so, I mean, what we do is just what we're doing right now, and in combination with what Ryan and some of our other panelists talked about, is get involved in direct action. Educate ourselves, and we get involved in action. Fight for the members of our class. We fight for them, we show them that we're fighting for them, and we bring them towards us. We have to build a revolutionary movement. This is not big enough. We ain't overthrowing nothing with 50 people, right? So therefore, our goal is to educate more and more people as to what's going on in the society. A lot of people know that it's not right, but they don't understand that there's actual different class interests. And that's what people need to understand. I don't mean upper, middle, and lower. I mean the ruling class and the rest of us. The rest of us are not in charge at all in society. And so the only solution is educating people, raising class consciousness. The reason I believe that we shouldn't put down things like voting is we have to appeal to the masses. We have to understand where people are at. Even though I don't think we're going to get anything by voting, I'm not going to tell other people not to vote, because that's not going to bring the average person. I don't want just the most radical people. The most radical people, there's not enough of us yet. We have to help people understand, so we have to meet people where they're at, and we have to help them see the fight that we're really in. We have to help people see that we're in a war. We're in a class war. A lot of people don't see it yet, and we have to use our understanding of where people are at. We have to use where people are at in order to reach them. Then we can help people understand, and they can help us understand what needs to happen next. And so we have to develop class consciousness. We have to educate people. We have to be open to a variety of approaches, a variety of people, because believe me, the people on the right are doing that. The fascists, we're having a fascist revolution going on right now too. And it's us against them. So we need to be more open and more broad in our approach, so that then once we get people, they see we're fighting in their interest, we'll start educating them at the real war that's going on. They'll want to fight with us because we're fighting for them.
Ed, you have 3 minutes.
Okay. This question of how do we get there, I think the Marxists, the communists, the socialists will have, even among themselves, some different ideas, and I think we'll have even more different ideas from the anarchists. I'm a person who does not think that it is very productive to demonize each other's methods. I see a lot of good stuff coming out of what Ryan said, and I've talked with Jessica on this and other anarchists here, and they have wonderful ideas, and I embrace what they're saying. My personal, and I hope that they find things in what I said that they can embrace. My personal feeling is that, well, first off, I heard somebody talk about violence. Will this revolution be completely nonviolent? I don't think so, okay? I would like to see it as nonviolent as possible. I don't want to see nuclear weapons used. How are we going to get there? A lot of what Kimberly said, I really like. We have to outreach to a lot of people. The majority of people on this planet, the great majority of people on this planet, are being oppressed by those assholes. If we can awaken them, if we can get them to realize that a much better world is possible, but how do we do that? What Occupy has done is a tremendous first step. This is the first step of saying, hey, these people are shitting on us, wake up. And beyond that, we need to go ahead and reclaim our schools. What our kids are taught is racist, capitalist shit. We need to really get out there and get the word out there. And there's a lot of ideas that I haven't even thought of that you guys have. What was said about non-participation is important. It's not just, and I love what you said about non-participation. I want to go even farther though. I want to reclaim the unions. The unions right now, by and large, thank you, are controlled by bureaucrats that are almost just as bad as the capitalists. That's not unions, that's suppression. But if we can reclaim the unions, if we can go ahead and get the workers to sit down and say, fuck you guys, we are not working anymore for you people, that is non-participation. If we shut down major industries, that is non-participation. If we shut down those kinds of things, general strikes in LA, no buses, no metro rail, no nothing, no people going to work, that's non-participation. So what, my time's running out very quickly. What I'm saying is we have to go ahead and build a workers' community, communities and workers to work to have a revolution from the bottom.
Thank you. I just noticed we have so many people here. This is amazing. Thank you all for coming. But people back here, it's a little bit difficult to hear. So if you can project your voice a little bit, that'd be great.
Was I loud enough?
No.
Alright. I think you did good. Yeah.
Okay, alright. Sorry.
Okay, restarting. 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I just want to address a couple of things that were talked about and then, really close and emphasize where I think, a lot of the divisions are, but also our sameness is incredibly important. Having an anti-capitalist agenda is incredibly important. Building the fact that people who are oppressed are the ones that have the power to mobilize and change and be in control of society. These are significant gains that I feel like were not talked about publicly until Occupy for the most part. Not that people weren't organizing, not that people were not continuing to fight back against these systems of oppression, but Occupy made the discussion national and international from the Arab Spring all over the world to Chile, here to the United States, where people are talking about class struggle publicly, and it's an important gain that we have to acknowledge and be supportive of. And at the same time, methods like voting keeps the same ruling class in power. Exchanging one person for another, it's the same as you actually started mentioning, is class gains, how we're different as a class. It's not just the ruling class versus the rest of us. It's all stages of different people. So the middle class, for example, we're seeing with rise in fascism comes from the middle class because it's people who are in a position, well, we have some of these kinds of privileges, but you guys who are fighting and being radical, you're stopping the rest of us from getting just a little bit more, a little bit of a higher paycheck, or maybe even some health care. But no, we as people on this earth should have access to health care internationally. Should have access to housing internationally. These are some of the gains that we should have and that we've had for most of this time on this planet as human beings. But now we're in a position where they're trying to exploit our labor so that we think that we maybe kind of deserve it, and it's just not true. Unions at the same time, even as though they're controlled by the union bureaucracy that capitulates to the capitalist, makes deals, makes it seem like, oh yeah, well you should strike, oh well guess what, we lost, too bad, keeps them in power. No, it's the only place where it's workers versus bosses, so we have to continue to organize with their unions. The violence that happens, it's the police, it's the state, it's not the people. So when we talk about nonviolence, it's just us laying down and acting as though they'll somehow stop exploiting us. They know what they're doing. What we need to do as a solution is with the working class, mobilize and radicalize the talents. One of the things that we have as a class is that we're plumbers, we're electricians, we're nurses, we're doctors, we're women, we're people who do labor, unpaid labor in the home. Radicalize the talents that you have to build for a workers' party, because everybody has talents. As the working class, we do everything in society, which is what makes it run. But one of the things that we can make this happen, how we can make it happen, is having a working class, a workers' party that unifies workers all around, unifies the oppressed, and utilizes our talents to radicalize society, to end capitalism, and build for a state that we all control, and we can have control of democratically.
Open stack for questions from the audience after Jessica's done. So if you can.
No.
Wait,
after Raul.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we have 2 more panelists, and then we're gonna open up stacks for questions from the audience. Jessica.
Okay, so how are we going to achieve revolution, and how are we going to build a life? How are we going to build a life post-capitalism? How are we going to achieve revolution